Saturday has killed at least 2 people. This comes hours after 2 Russian missiles slammed into a rail facility in eastern Ukraine, heavily damaging it, and at least 13 people were injured in a nearby missile attack. But after days of darkness, the lights are coming back on in much of Ukraine. The country's national power supplier says it has repaired most of the electric grid after Russian strikes last week caused widespread blackouts. Our next guest arrived in Kyiv overnight to assess the toll of the war firsthand. Retired NASA astronaut and a regular guest on this program, Scott Kelly, joins us now from the Ukrainian capital. Scott, great to see you. And I know you're getting a full picture of what's happening there as best as you can. You have to see these Russian atrocities for yourself. You have said, and you just visited Ukraine's largest pediatric hospital. Tell us about that visit.
Yeah, Jim. So it was, on one hand, it was really sad to see the horrific injuries that these children have as a result of Russian airstrikes. But, somewhat, it was also heartwarming to see their resilience and, like the resilience I think that all the Ukrainian people are demonstrating in this, horrific war. But also, like I said, just very, very sad to see. And it's just hard to understand, how Russia could attack this country and knowingly attack and kill and wound and maim children. It's really horrific.
And you also visited Bucha, a suburb of Kyiv. We spent a lot of time reporting on this area of Ukraine. The area contains a mass grave with evidence of civilian slaughter. Hundreds of civilians were murdered there by the Russians. We remember these images, we're showing them on screen now vividly because it was an international outrage at the time. What did you see today?
Not only see, the photographic evidence, the place where the mass graves were located, but just talking to the people that lived through this and when they came back to Bucha, to hear firsthand from them how they found, people just murdered in the streets, bodies buried in mass graves, the stories of murder, torture, rape, looting, is just horrific. And the war crimes are unconscionable.
And another reason you're there is because you're an advisor to a company that is donating radiation protection equipment for Ukrainian first responders, if I have that right. That would be in case of a Chernobyl type event. I guess, first of all, that tells us that this is a huge concern. This is a big worry there in Ukraine. How important is that protection going to be, do you think? And how necessary is it, do you think?
Yeah, so the company is called StemRad, and they are a company that actually has hardware on Orion right now that is designed to protect the future astronauts that will fly around the moon. But they also make a radiation protective vest that would protect the first responders in the event of a nuclear accident, or, I hate to say even a nuclear attack. In the case, if you compare it to Chernobyl, over 90% of the people that died would have survived, the first responders would have survived had they had this technology. So we're providing it to the Ukrainian government, so I'm here for that. But I'm also here to raise awareness for the fundraising, not only for my own cause to raise money for ambulances, but for Ukraine to save people's lives, but also a new initiative to raise money for generators for hospitals and other civilian infrastructure that Russia continues to destroy.
And how important is all of this? We've talked to a number of people on this show. Other folks have been on other programs here on CNN talking about, it is almost like a voluntary effort that is underway. We had Jose Andres talking about food yesterday to supplement what the Ukrainians are doing and supplement what governments from around the world are doing, including the United States. How critical is it to see these voluntary efforts go in there and try to lend a hand?
Absolutely critical, and just to see the resilience of the Ukrainian people and how they've all come together to combat this, enormous enemy that's fighting this war in an illegal way. I think it's incumbent on any person that has the ability to help. If you believe in freedom and democracy, I think you should find a way to contribute and help, because not only is Ukraine fighting for their own freedom, but I think they're defending democracy for every freedom-loving person around the world.
And before we go, we have to ask you about your area of expertise, space. And there's a lot to tackle, but one question in particular: SpaceX is carrying a fresh load of supplies to the International Space Station, including tomato